Hey, hey, hey. Hope everybody's doing good. Carl Bryan coming at you. Hope everybody's doing great. I am riding solo tonight. Kenya Pat can't make it. So here we are. Hopefully you guys can see my screen here. As per always, guys, this is a Q&A call. You guys provide the Q. I'm going to provide the A. If you guys have any questions, put up your hand and I will call on you. And if you, for whatever reason, don't have audio and whatnot, feel free to plunk the question into the chat box here. If you just have something to say, you can chuck your comments and whatnot into the box. But in the meantime, let's get some questions going. And I might just open up a couple folks and see how they're doing. Let's go. We got Jays. We got Jeff, Jerry, John. Let's go for some Jays here. Jeff Pugel. I'm coming for you, Jeff, to say hello. You are self-muted. You got to unmute yourself if you're going to say hello. Jeff, coming for you, buddy. Are you there, bud? You got to unmute. Make sure you guys can hear me, by the way. Hopefully I'm not sitting here just talking to myself. Jerry, I'm coming for you. Jerry Rohr, you were the next J on our hit list. You're self-muted. There we go. Jerry, hey, you're live.
Hey, how we doing?
We're doing fabulous. What's happening?
Oh, not much. Staying busy.
It's good to hear. When you say staying busy, what's staying busy look like in Jerry's world?
Well, I've had a few misfortunes here last month with my wife in an accident and had to deal with that.
Oh, shoot.
About a week.
She okay?
Yeah, she's doing good. About a week ago, my account got hacked. That was not good.
Oh, shoot. What account? Like a bank account or what kind of account?
Yeah, checking account. So, but it's all coming together again. So I'm trying to get back in the saddle.
Good to hear. Good to hear. By the way, you can see my screen. You see the software on your screen there? Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Good stuff. All right. So if I were to press you for a question on the software, what would you say to me?
If I was to what?
If I were to press you for a question on the software, what would you say?
Yeah.
A question on the software?
No, I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, we hope that your wife gets better, Jerry. Great to have you here, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm going to chuck you back on mute. No worries. And let's go to John. In fact, John has a question in there that I can't see just yet, but let's ask him. John Cunningham, coming for you, buddy. You're self-muted. You got to unmute yourself. There he is. John Cunningham, how goes it?
It's going well. This is my first session. I just started on Monday. So.
Oh, you did? Oh, there we go. Yep. A newbie. Cool. So tell us, give us your first impressions. How's the training going so far? How we doing? What do you think?
Oh, well, it's a lot of training, so I'm powering into it. Yeah. Still.
Have you had a chance to log into the? Have you had a chance to log into the software yet and have a bit of a look around?
No, I just got my login about half an hour ago, so no, I haven't.
Oh, did you? Okay, so you're like a newbie on steroids. Okay, cool. So any questions for me here before we keep moving?
No, not so far. Not so far.
Okay, good stuff. All right, John, we're honored to have you here. Thanks for being on board, buddy. Gonna chuck you back on mute. There we go. And John Simpson. Let's keep we're keeping on with the Jays. John Simpson coming for you, bud. You're self-muted. If you want to say hello, you got to unmute yourself. There we go. John Simpson, you're live. How goes it?
Good. And yourself?
Doing fantastic. Give us the 101. What's happening in John Simpson's world?
John Simpson's world is going good. I've got a session here in about, I think about a half hour or so. So I was just getting on to see if I could learn anything more. I've just been learning about the software, and I don't really have any questions on it right now.
Okay, that's cool. What's the meeting you have in 30 minutes? What's that
I
for?
have a PAS in 30 minutes. So.
So you with a business owner, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, cool. What kind of business?
She is she sells nutritional products.
Cool. Are they hers or somebody else's?
There's somebody else's. I think she's an MLM. So, I just take every opportunity I can to run the software by people because I learn from everything. Every time I do it, I learn something new.
Oh yeah, look, I would agree and high five for that. Do you want me to give you I've mentioned this, I think it's actually been on the I've mentioned this a few different times on different calls. Something you might want to think about with this gal, which again, without knowing more dynamics, impossible to give, we need the little, whenever I'm coaching somebody, I do two things. Number one is I establish the little red arrow, you are here. Okay. In a large degree, that's what you're doing with the Q&A process of the Profit Jumpstart. And then I would establish where they want to go, right? Like again, if you've got 3 kids under the age of 5, very important that we help you with a roadmap that doesn't involve you doing 60 hours in the office, or I would dare assume that would be the way. So little red arrow, you are here, and then understanding where they want to go. With this individual, why I asked, is it her products or somebody else's? A superpower of business, I don't know that I call it a superpower, but a critical factor of success is one word, and that's margin. Okay, like Ferrari exists because of margin, Apple exists because of margin, Louis Vuitton exists because of margin. There's some of the richest people in the world own these companies that I'm listing, right? Well, if she's selling somebody else's beauty products, I can tell you one of the things she's missing is margin. And what I've recommended to MLMs in the past is I'll meet somebody and they're really good at MLM, and let's just assume it's makeup for the sake of the argument. I say follow their roadmap, get good at it, and then once you understand the model, you're looking at all the marketing material, jump on a plane, go to Trinidad or go to Asia, China, wherever, do your homework, get some meetings, and go there and create your own makeup. Okay, your own colors, your own XYZ, and then start doing the exact same MLM model that you've been doing to date very successfully. And instead of making 10 points, you're going to start making 230 points, and your life is going to be significantly more exciting. And then instead of signing people underneath you in the MLM, you sign up distributors underneath you. A little bit of an X factor here. Don't go more than 2 levels or you become an MLM, and then the compliance and you could get yourself into trouble. So you don't go more than 2 levels deep. So you don't create an MLM, but you create a direct sales model that goes down 2 levels, and the money that she could make could be gobsmacking. But John, you might meet her and her numbers might be horrific, and you might meet her and she might be super busy with 3 kids, and the last thing she wants to think about is jumping on a plane and going to Trinidad in the future and creating her own makeup line, which is totally fine. But that's why we established 2 things. Little red arrow, you are here. What are you looking to accomplish? If she wants to be a 7-figure operator and have, high margins and make a lot of money, that might be a roadmap for an individual. And John, I'm not just speaking to you, but I'm speaking to the entire group, because you're not going to be the only guy that's going to speak to a gal involved in MLM as a PAS meeting. Does that help, John? Or what do you think of that?
That does help. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've talked to her previously just a little bit, so we'll see where she's at and where she wants to go.
Cool. That is it, bud. That's the Uber metaphor. You just gave the Uber metaphor that I've said again. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it, but on my podcast, I refer to it regularly. And that's that Uber is like I don't know what they are. They're like a $200 billion company or whatever the valuation is nowadays. Who knows after a certain point. But Uber was built on 2 questions. Where are you? Where do you want to go? Huge, huge power in that. So little red arrow, you are here, and where do you want to go? It's same thing as the Uber metaphor. So there you go. I hope that's helpful, John. Good luck in your meeting, bud.
Thank you. It was very helpful. Appreciate it.
No worries, bud. And for everybody listening, again, I just said something really important I want you to take away. Just margin, margin, margin. Like get a tattoo, get it on your forehead, put it on a sticky note, and put it on your computer. When you work with business owners, one of the things they're missing, like here's a question that I've asked for years. In fact, Jason Economides, if you follow him, he'll put on his Facebook every so often, he'll go, you know, Carl Bryan asked me this question, what do I buy from you for 25 grand? And if they don't have a $25,000 program, I guarantee one thing, and that's that they can't sell one. In fact, the question that I've asked for many, many years is, what do I buy from you for 10 grand? Because they don't have a $25,000 program, but they don't have a $10,000 program either, and they should have both. And by the way, not just a $10,000 program, but think of the word that I just used a minute ago. And what was it? Margin. So I want a $10,000 product that has a $9,000 hard cost, because that's lame, right? That would be an example of what the gal in the MLM would be doing with John a minute ago. I want a $10,000 unit of sale, and I want to assume I want there to be 50% margins or above, right? So again, now this is a product worth building, and I don't need to meet your client, the chiropractor, what have you, to know that they don't have this product in place and they're making a mistake. So when you're coaching somebody, if you do that, that will be a valuable exercise. Rick Ellie, we're going to go. You've got a question possibly. Rick Ellie, you're self-muted, my friend. If you want to chat, you got to hit the mute button. Rick Ellie, are you there, buddy? Okay, I'll keep you on mute. If you just, I don't know if you maybe can't find the unmute button, Rick, but should be there somewhere. Nabil, you got your hand up, buddy. My buddy, the Aussie. Nabil, we are coming for you. You're self-muted.
Good morning.
Hey, Nabil, what's happening?
Or good afternoon, I should say, for you guys.
Yeah, that's it. Nearly 1 o'clock. What's happening? What's happening in Nabil's world?
Oh, I've got some feedback for you, mate.
Sure, let's go. Good or bad? Should I sit down or stand up? What's happening?
I want to just say a huge thank you to you and Pat from last week's call. If you remember, I was actually catching up with a manufacturing business, and I ended up signing them up. Woohoo!
Boom. I remember it a little bit, but maybe for the benefit of the group, what did we talk about? What did we say that helped for the benefit of the guys listening?
Well, we talked about, we spent probably 5-10 minutes talking about it, and it's an ex-client that had grown astronomically and had weathered COVID well and wanted some further assistance. And so I met with the guy, his general manager and his accountant and his admin person. And so we had a good talk. I actually did it differently. Normally I don't do a proposal, but I actually put like a couple of hours putting together a proposal that detailed a roadmap, if you like, without the detail of what we do, but just the methodology. And so I sat down with them and walked them through that. And the reason I want to just say a big thank you is you gave me a lot of clarity, but you also helped me, and this is important. I want everyone to listen to this. You helped me add an extra $10,000 or $11,000 to engagement.
Oh, boom. Oh, yeah, that's because, yes, I know why. Because, I want you to tell this story. I remember, I want you to tell, because I want to hear it from you, and then I want to maybe chime in if I can expand on it, but I know exactly what you mean. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, because I was going in with a fairly high monthly investment.
35, correct? 3,500.
No, it was going to be 4,000 a month.
Okay, $4,000.
And I said this engagement's worth more than that, so I put it at 5,000 a month. And then I actually went in and I said, first month's going to be $3,000. Next month's going to be, second month's going to be $4,000, and third month onwards is $5,000. And so
you got a $60,000 client for a $3,000 credit card number, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And better still, they wanted to pay 3 months in advance.
They did. This
Yeah,
is good.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right.
just
Sign them
that
up.
simple maneuver and that simple 5-minute conversation was worth 10 grand to me. So I want to just say a huge thank you.
I love it. But not only
Yeah.
10 grand. So, Nabil, if I could, I might just expand out. Please chime in because I want to make sure everybody gets it, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
last week we were chatting and Nabil said, yeah, I'm going to come in. And I normally do, I think it was like 3 grand a month, but you said this is a bigger client. So I feel like I'm going to raise my prices.
That's right.
You know, might go as high as 5, but maybe I'll meet in the middle. It'll be like 4 grand, right? And then I'm like, okay, but here's what I would do. If you feel like it's worth 5 grand, hypothetically, just for everybody listening, right? So it's going to be 5 grand. That's 60 grand a year client. Getting a $5,000 commitment on day one can be for the most seasoned closer, you know, consultant closer, yada, yada, yada. That could be a difficult thing to do. But why don't you do it in this manner? Why don't you close them at, you know, again, your numbers, why don't you close them at month 1, 3, month 2, 4, month 3, 5? And for everybody listening, he could have also done it month 1, 2,500, month 2, 3 grand, month 3, 3,500, then 4 grand, then 4,500, and then 5 grand. What's critical, and the way, like, clearly there's a really good chance Nabil's going to have this client for like 3 years from now. Well, by lowering the upfront, he maintained his $60,000. Like, you know, he got his $60,000 client, but he's just going to have to wait a few months in order to exercise the 5 grand a month, and that's no problem. So, for everybody listening, if you want, and then maybe you're not at Nabil's level, let's assume you're at $2,000 a month, and you've only been doing this for 12 months, whatever. Again, you could do 500, 1,000, 1,500, and then 2 grand. You get a $24,000 client, but you just needed a $500 close. So versus what most coaches will do is they're not comfortable at 2 grand a month, 24 grand a year, or they feel like their client's not making enough money to justify it. So they lower their lifetime value. They lower their monthly fees to like $1 grand. I say, no, don't do that. Just scale it in over whatever period of time necessary. Nabil, did I do a good job of just explaining roughly what that conversation and why you're giving us the credit for the extra
You did a
X amount?
brilliant job. You did a brilliant job. Yeah, I had a chat with Glenys beforehand around some of the other aspects, and I want to tip my hat off to her as well. She's an awesome lady and an awesome coach. But you put the icing on the cake, and I can just add one extra thing.
Please.
I got an extra 3 grand because the planning session, the past session, is going to be an additional 3 grand payment as well.
Oh, I love it. There we go, man. Well, Nabil, high five for everybody listening. Obviously, this is also that's awesome, man. That's what we like to see. Success stories. Well done, buddy. Well done.
So I just wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to do that personally, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, Nabil, you're a champion, man. But also thank you to you, man, to go and executing. We give out, you know, if that's what we call brilliant advice. I'm not sure about that, but if you go and execute it, then it's a beauty, right? But a lot of the time it just dies on these phone calls. So congrats to you, and thank you to you, Nabil, for making her happen, brother. I love it.
Yeah, and I guess a tip for everybody who's listening and everybody in the community is you've got to be coachable. You know, like you say, if you ask for advice and then it just sits there and just musters away, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, love it. Nabil, high five, buddy. What else is going on? Anything else to inspire us, folks? What else you got cooking?
Probably just a bit of distinction. These guys have got a lot of current issues, and they've got a lot of plans for growth. And one thing I've been grappling with over the last couple of days is we need to focus on the foundations, which is the issues that they've got currently, before we start talking about blue sky thinking and the expansion, and we want to have a rock solid foundation. You don't build a high rise building on shaky foundations. So I'm excited, and I want to get launched into using the PASS for growth, but I want to use also the PASS or just a conversation around identifying all of their current issues. So for a fairly sizable business, do you have any tips on that? I've done this probably hundreds of times, but I just wanted to tap into your brain as well.
What I find, so like, I think great question, by the way. What I like to do over the first, let's just call it 90 days, which is an arbitrary number because every relationship's a little faster, slower, more dynamic. But what I like to do, a lot of, like, you know, what's that saying? Strategy eats tactic for breakfast, right? Which it does, right? Hopefully everybody here should get that. But there's another saying, and Road Dogg and I, we literally end every single podcast with exactly this, and it's for a reason. Progress equals happiness. I believe that there is total magic in those three words, right? Progress. Think about any area of your life, whether it's relationship with your kids, relationship with your spouse, relationship with your business, we'll call it, like, you know, your career, your business, relationship with your clients, relationship with your dog, for goodness sakes, right? Whatever area, your physical fitness, your mental health, where if you write down the areas and then you're happy in an area, like let's say financially, you're making some good dough more than previous. The reason you're feeling good about it is one word, and that's progress. No matter, you can be making $1 million a year and not feel progress, and you won't be happy in that area, right? So progress equals happiness. So with this client, the advice is, again, I'm arbitrarily throwing out 90 days, and every situation is a little bit unique. But I get highly, I don't know, highly is the right word, but I get tactical initially because I want them to see some runs on the board, right? Because it makes more sense that we get strategic and high level. But the problem is they don't feel the progress, and therefore they don't have the quote unquote happiness, right? Like, what I love to do, like, you're $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year. You should be keeping, like, you know, every time you speak to these guys, you get a napkin and a pen sitting beside you. And when you reduce the cost of something, or they make a sale, or you take their $10,000, product, and you turn it into a $12,000 product by adding a soft good, like a longer warranty, or, you know, like a lifetime warranty. Like, if it's a 1-year warranty that automatically comes with something, make it 5 years and charge them. Right? If you ever go to buy a computer, they do an extended warranty, right? It's just money for jam. Okay, so with that being said, you take a $10,000 unit, turn it into an $11,000 unit. You just added $1,000. We'll assume you created an extended warranty. In other words, a soft good, right? So it's a hard good with a soft good. Extended warranty is soft. That $1,000 is pretty much going straight into their bank account. They make 100 sales a month. You basically take those numbers, extrapolate them out, and go, look, here's what we earned. Congratulations, we're 60 days into it. You've already pocketed X. Let's just call it $100,000 of sheer, of profit. I'm only $60,000 a year. I am free for the rest of the year. That conversation totally changes the dynamic of the relationship. Like, you will extend your coaching relationship like 9 months almost automatically with that one conversation. Congratulations. You probably don't realize it, but I'm free for the rest of the year because look what we've already accomplished. And I bet you guys didn't even notice. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, you're right? Like, how cool is that? But they're not, remember, progress equals happiness. Anyway, so that on the tactical side, you get it. So I'm kind of being a little bit tactical initially, and then we're moving into the strategy, the higher level stuff that I feel like they're not going to feel for 90 days. But I don't start there, despite the fact that it would probably make more sense. But part of your job is to keep these guys for 3 years. And you know that there's a Chinese proverb that things often end the way that they start, they end the way that they start, right? So I like to start things on a real kick-ass kind of like foundation. So that's my, and I'd probably go one word: margin. Like, again, if these, what are they, 8 million? How much? What are these guys? $8 million company? Do I have that right?
Yeah, 8 million. Yeah.
So again, on the 8, what are they netting? And again, I'd be looking straight at that going, how can you spread the margin? If they're making 7% margins right now, how can you turn 7 into 7.5, which doesn't sound very exciting until you multiply it into 8 million, right? And then how can we go from 7 to 7.5 to 11% over the next, 12 to 24 months, and then show them with pen, paper, spreadsheet, email, like when we accomplish X, this is what's going to happen. Remember that saying, do you want to get big or do you want to get, they want to get big so that they can get rich. Stupidest advice ever, right? They're thinking ego, they're thinking gross revenues, 8 million, when really they should be looking at profit margin to say, on 8, we're netting 1, and the only thing we should really be looking at 1 significantly more than we're looking at 8. But I don't need to meet them to know that wouldn't be the case. So margin is what I'd spend some time going straight there, and you'll be able to do it.
Very true. Yeah, because there's many a business that I've coached where, a business of, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, like maybe like say $700,000 making a net profit of $300,000 for some industries. And I've got other businesses that I've coached that have been 2, 3, 4 million and barely making that themselves. So the top line number is not important. It's there for status, it's there to pump your chest up.
Yep. And so again, where would I be, so going straight to margin and then trying to come up with soft goods, right? That again, like what are some, what are some soft goods or some soup? I sent an email out recently. We might've actually talked about this, but anyways, like upsell versus cross sell. And it's like, cross sell is, do you want fries with that? And then upsell is, do you want me to supersize it? Well, the magic is that upselling is 21 times more profitable than cross-sell. Okay. But the average business coach, the average business person, they will start with cross-sell because, I don't know, it's the more organic, the more popular way to go, right? So how can you supersize their orders is what I'm getting at there. Anyway, which comes back to margin, by the way. Sorry, go.
Carl, you mentioned the 90 days. It just reminds me, like your president, for first 100 days, they talk about a CEO coming into a major company and having that first 100 days to prove themselves, to put the changes in, to have a presence, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that's a good analogy. I love that idea, because one of the things I was comfortable with, but I was grappling with, and you've got to given me a bit of insight into how I could do that, is really on the agreement of everybody, just focus on that foundation stage and then having another bite at the cherry in terms of the actual strategy further on.
Yeah, well, Pat, Adrian, and I talk about this a lot because we just, hired a new software engineer, and we're kind of, we're trying to move it at a pretty decent pace behind the scenes. Once again, a lot of what we're doing, nobody's felt it for 60, 90 days, but it's all about to happen, right? That strategy over tactic, we just talked about it. Anyway, so what we've been talking about a lot lately is, I'm going to make a meal of this. It's a very popular expression, but it's something to the effect of, the task will be defined more by the length of time you give it than the task itself, if you get what I mean. So in other words, if you look to undertake something in an hour, you'll get it done in an hour. And if you look to undertake something without a time frame, it could take you 2 days instead of an hour, because you just kind of throw it in 15-minute tidbits, etc. Anyway, so I really like what you're talking about there with the 100 days, or again, you might want to do it 90 days. You do it 100 days. I used to always do 90 days, by the way, just for the sake of the argument. But
3 months.
but 100 kind of, that sounds sexy. And like you said, that's kind of it's a popular, everybody will understand that. So you might want to, but go with that. But it's like, here's what we're, but set a defined, at the end of 100 days, here's what I want to have accomplished. So you put a little bit of pressure on them and a defined outcome. And even if you come up a little bit short, you're going to be able to sit there and go, yeah, but that change, that adjustment means X, Y, Z. And again, congratulations. I'm free for the next 2 years. I'm free for the next 2 years, by the way, not even a year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, that's, but you know what I mean? By putting I like the idea of doing that in 100 days for exactly those reasons.
Yeah.
That's got power, Bud.
Yeah. So with the issues and what's currently griping them, or what's currently not working, the PASS is a good vehicle to do that, isn't it? It's absolutely
100%.
helps us nail
100%.
that. Yeah.
Well, it's look. It comes back to two questions. Where little red arrow, you are here, right? Like understanding what are they doing? What are they doing well? What are they not doing well? Here's a question that's like, here's $1 million question. What don't you see? Right? Like employees stealing from you is an example of something that the boss doesn't see. Because if he saw it, it wouldn't be happening, right? But you see, what don't I see? Margins, like as an example, because they don't understand financials and how to read financial statements, they've got their employees running around and offering 10% discounts, falling off a log, not even questioning it, and then not realizing that if you offer a 10% discount, they have to sell 33% more to break even on the 10% discount. Right. So just about Nabil, I know you got that. I want to make sure everybody heard me. When you offer a 10% discount, your client needs to sell 33% more to break even. So before they go and offer this 10% discount, you got to think about this first. So that if that's the problem, what's the solution? The solution lies in adding more value, not offering a 10% discount. Because the hardest function of any business, yours, mine, Nabil's, anybody's, Ford, Pepsi, Coke, is to get a new client. So again, offering a 10% discount and then having to sell 33% more, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's an example, Nabil, of something they don't see. But an accountant would see that falling off of a log, right? So what don't they see? Having in other words, don't expect to go then and say, what's the number one challenge you have, and expect them to give you the right answer is why I said that. Right. So that's why you go through the process. Yeah. So what do you think? What's the low? Here's a question. What is, just instinctively, what is the low hanging fruit for these guys?
I want to go through their financials, because at that size, I'll bet there's several hundreds of thousands of dollars of unnecessary expenses, as much as they say that they're running lean and they've gone through that and they're diligent. Because my old quality management background, I remember years and years ago going to training, and they're saying 25 to 30% of a business expenses are unnecessary, whether it's unnecessary time or unnecessary materials or rejects or whatever. So I reckon there'd be a fair bit saved, and that's a nice low-hanging fruit thing to do in the first 90 days.
Hey, Greg, I'm going to come to you. Greg's got a question for you, so I'm going to get him to ask you direct here. Greg Gillespie. So, Greg, you are there we go. You're unmuted. Greg, how's it going?
Real well. Good to speak. Yes, the question I've got is, first and foremost, congratulations, young man, for your close. I happened to be part of that event and listening to the advice that they had passed on to you. Excitedly pumped that worked out. Question for you: were you able to present this to this client virtually? And if so, did you close it virtually, or were you able to present and close it face to face?
In Melbourne, we've had a really good run. We've had 110 days without any COVID cases. And so I actually was able to present it in person. In the last 3 days, we've had a spike of 26. Now, I know in the scheme of things in the US and in other parts of the world, that's laughable, but we've gone into 26.
Correct, man. Correct.
It's laughable. What they've done, bless them, is that they've shut the whole state down for 7 days, and they've called it a circuit breaker lockdown, and everything is virtual from midnight last night. So that was like 6 hours ago. But the good thing about that was I did it face to face with them and their accountant. Now, the beautiful thing about having the accountant on board is that I've had many instances where I'll meet with a prospective client and they say, oh, this is really good. I'd like to just run it past my accountant. And I go, why? This just does not make sense. And they've dug their heels in and that hasn't boded very well. But to answer your question, Greg, it was face to face, and I just sat there and just had copies of the proposal, and just went through that with them. And I said, this is what we'll do, and the benefits. And I actually really stacked it towards the benefits of what it was for the company. So it was very clear on what the journey was and what the aim was.
Fantastic. Well, beautiful.
Yeah.
I was curious to close on opportunities such as that, especially having an accountant sitting there. And as you know, we're not supposed to sell the features, where you're right, you're to sell the benefits. You're 100% correct. Did the accountant chime in and add any unnecessary dimension to your meeting?
Did they chime into anything unnecessary? No. He's actually quite a bit of left field accountant. By that I mean he's not your stereotypical rear vision mirror. I'll just do your accounts and that. He's more of a higher level accountant, and he's 1 in 100, I reckon. Is unique in that he's there as part of the team rather than I go to and send my accountant my accounts to just get my annual returns done and from time to time. So he's actually interwoven into the company. And I think the beautiful thing about this is that we're going to be like a management team, and I'll be part of that. And it'll be like, and this is the way I hope it'll be, and this is the way I want to be, is I'll be interwoven into the management of the company.
Sweet. Good stuff. Great. You've answered the questions. Thank you, sir.
All right.
The other aspect of that is, just for Greg's benefit as well, is when you demonstrate the value, you end up getting written into their budgets. Right. So it's into the future planning, whenever they do their annual cycle, if they're a large enough business to do that, or even at the smaller ones, you get them to do their budgets. And there's a line item in their budget that says X dollars coaching.
Smart. Good point. Yeah. Very good point. Thank you.
There we go. All right, Greg. Great question, buddy.
Okay. Thanks for that, guys. I appreciate your help and advice, Carl, again. And, just even today, you've given me a few extra pointers and stuff I've known, but, you've helped me sort of get a bit more laser focused on things.
Yeah, I just and for you, Nabil, and everybody listening, again, just the Q&A process, like the software that you're now looking at, right? Like, again, there's magic in the Q&A process. This is where, the gold is uncovered. So yes, just absolutely follow it. And with these guys, you go into a deep dive 40, which by the way is going to be a full day process, as you well know. But again, I wouldn't do that straight away. I'd get it going, get some runs on the board before I'd book that in. But home run city, man. Home run city. Cool. Great job, Bill. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you, sir.
No worries. Put them back on mute. I know who we're going to open up here. Daniel Hassler. My buddy Daniel. Daniel, you're self-muted, bud. If you want to say hi, got to unmute yourself. Daniel. Daniel worked for Tony Robbins for a decade. Very accomplished guy. And let's see if he's going to be able to unmute. Might not be able to unmute. If you're there, buddy, let me know. Oh, he doesn't seem to be able to unmute himself. Anyway, if it's all right. Daniel, I've got you on, you can find the button there, buddy. Just hit it. And you will be here. Anyways, who are we going to go to next? How about Scott? Scott Selfie. That is like one of the best last names ever. Scott Selfie. You are self-muted as well, buddy. Probably making a mess. I don't have my glasses on here. There he is. Scott.
I'm just listening.
What's going on?
I'm just listening. Not much, just
Is
listening.
that your last? Is that your last
Yep.
name, Selfie?
Yep. Pronounce it without the E, so it's just self, like yourself and myself.
Oh, is it? Okay, you should go selfie, man. In this day and age, right? Like selfies are everywhere, man. You're like automatically
I've had a few
famous.
people capitalize on that for sure.
I bet. How's it going? Any questions for us, or give us the 101, man? How's it going with Scott and his business?
Oh, not too bad. I mean, I kind of picked up the LPW coaching thing as kind of a supplement to my regular business. I'm basically a business funding and business credit expert, and we've got clients all the time looking for money. And I kind of came to the conclusion that, well, if we're getting them their money, we're getting their personal credit and their business credit straight, and they're always lacking something. I mean, a lot of what we deal with is startup and early stage businesses, and these guys were the best sales guy working for the man, or the best technical person, and while they might be the best sales guy or technical person, they don't know their elbow from their backside when it comes to business metrics and a lot of the other stuff. Maybe they got the gumption to know how to go knock doors or do some of that typical type of thing, but at the end of the day, they lack a lot of that information. So I found myself in some ways already kind of consulting them on that level, but not having an MBA, basically going to the University of Hard Knocks for the last 20 some years in the businesses that I've owned or been involved in. I've got some 30,000 foot to do's, not to do type stuff. So when I encountered all the software and backup support that LPW offered, I'm like, well, this can definitely be another iron to throw in the fire to help the business owner clients that I'm dealing with kind of on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, you'd be correct. By the way, do you know Ed Weinecke? Name sound familiar?
Nope, haven't heard of him. Don't know him.
Okay. Anyways, he was a director of. You've heard of the Finance Store?
Heard of it, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, they were a client for a long time. He was a director. He's now, anyway, so he's a client. He's actually, I'm just looking for him here. He's not here today, but he's here often. Anyways, he probably want to connect with him at some stage. You're a bit of a heavyweight in your world. I've been a client for a long time, like the better part of a decade. And cool. He crushes it. He's a smart guy, man. Smart guy for sure. They were on the Inc. Fastest 500 list for they might for many years, and do some big numbers. So you might want to connect with him at some stage. Just a little FYI. But that's good. So it's going well so far. How long have you been with us?
Oh, I guess right at a month or a little over a month.
Boom.
Websites are up. All the book stuff is straight. So now just kind of absorbing as much of the material as I can, so that I'm competent when I start running my mouth. So.
That never stopped me. What are you worried about? Just go for it, man.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, why not? What the hell? No, that's cool. Okay, awesome. Well, Scott, you're gonna do real well, bud. So that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Good to have you on board, man. And we're gonna put you back on mute. And great last name, by the way. Great last name. There we go. Actually, well, Selfie. I think we should take a poll. Everybody agrees he should be Selfie instead of Self. Hey, all the hands just went up. I'm joking, Scott. All right. You know what, guys? I don't have any more questions. You got a question, you got to raise your hand. And if you don't have a question, let's have a look here. Okay, before we get going, I'm just going to open up one more. My buddy Tom Cavanaugh. Whenever Tom is here, guys, this is a tremendous honor. Longtime client. Yo, Tom Cavanaugh. How's it going?
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Doing fantastic. The last time we spoke, we had just both listened to a rap song where your name is in the rap song. And I said, Tom, this is one for the bucket list, buddy. So there we go. Hope your head wasn't swollen up too much, but not every day that happens.
You know what? It was fun to listen to. I didn't know that was on my bucket list, but now that it's
I put it there for you. There you go.
Why not? I just want to say thank you for stimulating me on a search and find mission. When we originally spoke a long time ago, I asked you if there was something we could do to target what I thought was a market we were overlooking, which was the network marketing industry.
Yeah.
If you remember that conversation, and I'm
Yep.
doing all this research, and I discovered that we already have the answer. We have the exact thing that these people need. That's in our do-it-yourself e-learning system.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, like
and the group coaching, it's everything that they need.
Yeah. Because again, if I could just be, I think what you're saying is because if you're in network marketing, you can't think, if you think of yourself as a salesperson, you're probably not going to get very far. You got to think of yourself as a business person. And I think you're saying that the 52-week curriculum is the magic pill to get them thinking like business properly. Am I reading that correctly?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. If I had an MLM team and I had 30 people underneath me, it would be mandatory. And Scott, you might want to listen to this earlier. We talked to Scott Selfie. He's doing finding people money and whatnot. Same thing. It would be if somebody wanted me to get them $100,000 to get free trucks. Actually, I might answer this, Tom, if I may. Here, I'm just going to answer this a little bit differently, or I'm going to expand a thought here. That with 1,000,000% certainty, this is what I would do. If I was Scott, and you guys heard a minute ago, what happens is you got a growing business. You need $100,000 or $200,000 for some trucks, some machinery, or whatever it is, right? They get a hold of Scott, and then they say, "Hey, man, can you get me $100,000?" Right? Well, obviously, he's in the business of saying yes, right? Now, I want you to think second, third, fourth order consequences, folks. Like, what could happen? What could happen in Scott's world that would make life a little bit, not so much difficult, but, give him a sleepless night in 2 years from now? That's it. Somebody applies for the paperwork, gets the $100,000. They got pretty average credit score, so they got to pay an extra, they got to pay a worse credit rating than somebody with an excellent credit score, which happens all the time. And that's normally probably why they, get a hold of Scott versus just walking into the local bank. So he signs them up, and they're like, "That's okay, man. I got the business. I need the trucks. I need the machine. The business is waiting there, man. Just get me the $100,000. The quicker you can get it, the better off I am. I got to buy these things," right? Well, they get the trucks. What does Warren Buffett say that, and the tide comes out, right? You get to work out who doesn't have their pants on. I'm making a meal with that, right? But the idea is that everybody can build a business in 2007, and not everybody can build a business in 2008. In other words, when things went sideways. We saw that a little bit in the pandemic, but I wouldn't use the 2008 example because I think some people, like a restaurant, what the hell could they do, right? People weren't allowed to walk into their walls. Anywho, what happens is that the guy gets the $100,000, the economy goes sideways, and suddenly he's no longer quite so busy. Well, what's the gap between somebody being successful in 2007 and then 2008? And my opinion is that it's one word, and that word would be education. Some people know how to grow a business, and then some people don't, right? Things like margin that I mentioned earlier. If I was selling MLM, I would sell makeup, and then I would decide that I was good at it. I would rise above the business model and look at the marketing material and the model and the parties that I was throwing on Friday and how I was, recruiting my friends and whatnot. I'd jump on a plane. I would go to Trinidad. Instead of making 10% margins, I would do it myself. I would spend some money to get all the makeup, and I would start making 250% instead of 10%. And your chances of success just insurmountably just grew, right? Anyway, so what am I getting at? I'm going somewhere with this in relation to what Tom just said. And that's that if I was Scott earlier, who was getting these people 100 to 200,000 to protect them, I would say, I will get you the 100,000, right? And I'm going to do the guy next door is going to get you the same points that I'm going to get. Here's how I am different. I will not get you the $100,000 unless you accept my 12-month step-by-step 52-week chronological order, all lessons coalesce into one another, education, because I don't want you to get the $200,000 and then work out that you're not running your business properly, or you could be optimizing at a high level. So I'm not going to give you the $200,000 without you accepting my education, because I care about you. I care about your business. I care about your family, and I care about your financial future, because my goal is for you to get $200,000 today. and I want you to come back in 2 years, and instead of claiming bankruptcy and being pissed off that I got the 200 grand for you, I want you to be wanting to get another 400 grand for that many more trucks. And the reason will be one word, and that's education. In fact, I'm going to make it 2 words: applied education, because education is worthless if you don't apply it. So applied education is the magic. So anyways, Tom, I kind of ran with that one, but that's kind of what you're saying with the MLMs, right? It's like you sign them up, but you want to turn them into business owners, just like we do the guy who got 200 grand for the extra trucks. What do you think, Tom? You like what I just said? Would you expand on that? What do you think?
I think it's 100% spot on. And I was having a conversation with another coach the other day, and we've become kind of accountability partners. And he was asking me my opinion about bringing on new coaches. And along that same line, you don't only have to educate them, but you have to make them accountable, because if they're not, what gets measured gets done. So if we make them accountable and we provide them with the education to be accountable for, then we have solved all of the foundational challenges that they might run into, and we've taken that out of their way so they can springboard into success.
Yeah, love it. It reminds me of like traditional coaching will say that your client already knows what they need to know. You just need to draw it out of them. Right now we say, yeah, right. I get a better saying: you motivate an idiot and they do stupid things quicker.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's like that the guy that gets the 200 grand and buys the extra trucks, I don't need to meet him to know that he's probably trying to, he's adding more products and services. He's lowering his costs so that he can keep the trucks busy, that kind of thing. Like that's the average roadmap that the average business owner follows.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at what is debatably the most successful business in the world, which is Apple, they do 2 things really, really well. They have very few products and services, and they have premium pricing, which premium pricing is another word for margin, right? Like Ferrari, like Louis Vuitton, like Gucci, they got margin. And like what Apple have done, guys, is honestly just, it's gobsmacking that they have luxury margins for a commodity, right? Like a phone should continue to go down in price over time. Like that's the way that's the way these businesses tend to work. But Apple are just absolute geniuses, in my opinion, thanks to Steve Jobs and his legacy. But yeah, they continue to get luxury margins for a phone, which is just gobsmacking. So I love it, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
You bet, but I think, guys, Tom is a bit of a heavyweight, a big heavyweight, like I said, in the NLP world. So it's an honor to have him as a member of our team and a client of what we're doing, and a guy who chimes in. Whenever he chimes in, everybody ends up taking a lot of notes. Let me tell you guys. So Tom, honor to have you, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
It's an honor to be part of the community, and I want to say that I appreciate Adrian and your leadership and the entire team, because it is an absolute team effort, and everybody does a phenomenal job. You can't point out any one person. You got them all working together perfect.
You legend, man. We appreciate you, buddy. Like I said, bucket list. Boom, you got your name in a rap song, Shoots. There we go.
There we go.
I love it. All right, Tom, put you back on mute, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Appreciate you, buddy. I just want to, hey, guys, before we go, I'm just going to open up Scott Self, but I'm going to rename you Selfie. Mr. Selfie, you are self-muted. I just want to see if you heard what I said earlier and if that provided any value. Yo, Scott. Hey.
Yeah, I
hear what I said earlier? Did you like any feedback, any comments, any questions?
You've kind of front-ended it. I'm doing it kind of in reverse of that, but same concept at least.
Yep. Okay, I want everybody to hear this. So what you're saying is that they say I need 200 grand for the machinery for the trucks. You're filling out the paperwork, you're getting them the 200 grand, and then you're hitting them with the education on the other end, correct?
It's not in practice yet, but that is the plan. That's why I joined the whole LPW thing in the first place, is because I could see how the clients that we have coming to us for funding, a lot of these guys don't know business. And so I saw where, I was already kind of doing anyway, but not having an MBA or the plethora of knowledge that the e-learning and everything else gives. So the plan moving forward is that as I do bring on clients looking for funding and whatnot, I don't know that I'll necessarily strong arm them into doing some kind of coaching thing, but I'm putting together the plan to kind of segue them into kind of what I'm calling the aftercare program. You know, once I get their business credit built, once I get them the funding that they're needing, you know, hey guys, here's this program. It's a year-long program, blah, blah, blah. Let's help get your business metrics right. Let's help get you the leads and the strategic marketing you need to continue to be successful. So that's
okay.
Kind of the plan.
I gotcha. Scott, if I think I might be able to provide an insane amount of value in the next 2 minutes for you. And I'm going to do it for you, but I also want everybody to listen, because what I'm about to do and about to say, you guys steal this. And now I'm the same way that Scott can do it with his own company. You guys can do as a joint venture with anybody going B2B. And for the sake of this example, it's going to be somebody doing funding, but anybody going B2B can do this. Here's what I would do if you were Scott. If I was you, Scott, remember the number one thing that you can do with your business is differentiate, right? Because otherwise they just call you and then they call the next guy, and then the other guy offers like a smaller point, right? For you guys listening, that's a percentage. So if it's X percentage, right? If the other guy offers a half of a percentage less, they end up going with that guy, because again, it's a commodity, right? So that what you need to do is you need to be able to separate yourself from the competition, right? I don't want to be the best. You want to be the only. Super important. Anyway, so here's what I would do, Scott. You have the e-learning system, which is 52 weeks, which is totally automated. You've probably never taken the time to watch the 52 weeks because you got lots to do, right? But I got to tell you, I feel very, very comfortable. It is the best 52-week curriculum on the planet. VN, Tony Robbins, Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, list them all. We crush them. And it's not that we don't crush them. Like Jay Abraham will say something and it's just literally genius, but he's never put together a 52-week curriculum that holds a candle to what we got. Or that's what if I open up Daniel Hassler, who's here, who worked for Tony Robbins for 10 years, I know this is exactly what he'll say, because he sent this to us, right? So hear me out though. So the 52-week curriculum, it's your soft good. It's what I was talking about earlier with the extended warranty when I was speaking to Nabil, right? Like if you've got an automatic 1-year warranty, well, do a 5-year warranty at $1,000, and you just take that $1,000 and put it straight into your bank account, right? So it's a hard good with soft, right? Anyways, the way that you separate yourself when somebody calls is you say, look, you can call around and one guy's going to offer X point and another guy's going to offer another point. Here's how I am different. I want to get you the $200,000, and I will get you the $200,000, because I got to tell you, I'm better than the competition and I crush all these guys. I'm going to get you the $200,000. Here's how I'm different. I want you to come back and want $5,000 in 2 years, instead of you coming back and saying that was a huge mistake. And don't think for a second, guys, don't go to my competitors, get the paperwork, get the $200,000, save half a point. And then it's their worst nightmare, and it sends them into something called bankruptcy, which is not a lot of fun. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced it. Here's how I'm different. I insist that I educate you, because the difference between the guy who's homeless and the guy in the limo as they cross on the street is one word, and it's education, right? So what I am going to do is I'm going to get you the $200,000, but I'm going to provide you the world-class step-by-step chronological order, 52-week. Every lesson is going to run into one another. They all coalesce for the entire 52 weeks. It's the equivalent, in my opinion, of about a 3-year marketing degree at Stanford, at whatever university, right? So I am going to insist that you get it. And I got to tell you, at the end of the 52 weeks, you're not going to recognize yourself in terms of your ability to build your business, understand your business, and understand the most important parts of the step-by-step nature of how you can build that thing into something that totally dominates the local market. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you the $200,000. I'm going to do it for these points. We're going to get it in record time, but I'm going to immediately put you into my education that's going to explain to you how to build your business. I know that sounds amazing, Dave, but I'm going to go one step further, and it's going to get better. I've also got some proprietary software with 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences, where what we do is going to take us about 2 hours. We're going to rip through your business. I'm going to basically lift every rock that you didn't even know you have in your business. I'm going to find you $100,000 in 45 minutes without you spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. everything that we input, all of the numbers are then going to populate into a roadmap that the 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences are going to populate automatically without you doing anything, without me doing anything. The software is going to do the work for us. I'm going to press send on an email, and you are going to have in your inbox a step-by-step roadmap on how to take that thing from X 700 grand that you did last year to 1.7 million, and then that's going to become 3 million and then $10 million. You're going to have the roadmap to follow, and my software is going to provide it for you. So instead of going to the competition and trying to shave off a half a point, I'm going to give you the half a point savings anyways, but I'm going to provide the 52-week curriculum, and then I'm going to provide a one-to-one into my software where I'm going to give you this roadmap, find you 100 grand, 45 minutes without you spending $1 on marketing or advertising. What do you think, Dave, and where should I send the paperwork? I went down a little rabbit hole. What do you think of that, Scott? Do you see? Okay, what do you think of that, Scott? How did I do?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the program, for lack of a better term, that I was thinking. And my analogy is you've got,
Okay, but actually, may I, Scott? Can I jump in? Because I think you were going to do it without the education on the front end. You were going to get them a client, fill out the paperwork, get the yes, get the no, get them approved or not. And then once you did the paperwork, then you were going to introduce the education. Were you not? I just want to.
Yeah, that would be the differentiator in the way you framed it versus how I was thinking it. So totally what you said made sense. The only thing I guess where you maybe lost me was if you're doing it kind of as a value add, is that which if I'm
getting to that,
which is what I think you're doing. I mean, obviously, I don't want to pass up on $4,000 or $5,000 of e-learning subscription. Rolling it in. So what's the?
Gotcha. Okay, let me help. So first one of two. First of all, here's what just happened. The way that I just did it, I differentiated because I said I'll get you the 200 grand. The competition will get you the 200 grand. But the difference is I give a shit and he doesn't. How do I give a shit? I'm going to give you 12 month, 52-week step-by-step instruction that my business partners and I, who live in 24 different countries, have spent over $1 million over the last 10 years developing, perfecting, and creating. So I'm going to give that to you, right? Plus, I'm going to get together with you one-to-one. I will personally do it. I normally send my sales guys, but I will do it personally. And I'm going to find you 100 grand in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. We just got to find a 2-hour window in your calendar and my calendar that suit. So do you have your calendar handy? Let's do that straight away. Okay. Here's what happens next, Scott, is that you're going to you got them the points, you fill out the paperwork, you get them the 200 grand. You're going to do the meeting where you find them 100 grand in 45 minutes, which is the Profit Jumpstart, which you're now looking at on your screen. At the end of this meeting, you're going to sell them into $2,000 a month consulting.
Gotcha.
Follow?
Yeah.
And then here's what also is going to happen. 5 and 10 people are going to decline on the 100,000 in 45 minutes, which is probably going to be less than that if you're good at selling it, but assume that not everybody is going to take that option, and you will give away a few e-learning memberships where you could have got $100 to $200 a month, right?
Sure.
Okay, but you totally, what you did, remember that when I started, I said the number one thing you can do is differentiate yourself. By doing it the way that I just did it, you differentiate yourself immediately on that opening call. They're going to go, wow, I don't know what it is about this guy. I really like him. I feel like this guy cares versus the others. I dare say experiment with it, but what I dare say, what I just explained is going to build you, a $300,000 consulting division in your company falling off a log.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah. I was saying, and by the way, everybody listening, and Scott, I hope I didn't mean to, you just take it and run with it, right? But everybody else.
It segued perfectly. I said it segued perfectly, so that's fine.
Yeah, because ultimately what I think you're trying to do is you're trying to build, very importantly, little red arrow, you are here, where do you want to get to? You want to build a couple $100,000 plus consulting division in your company. That's why you're working with us, right?
Correct. Yeah. Just again,
Yep.
it was a needed service for my clients, and obviously,
Yep.
any smart business person realizes a need, capitalize on it.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
it
So
just becomes a revenue bucket in the P&L.
yep. And a big X factor, though, and remember, the number one thing you can do is differentiate yourself. Believe me, the competition isn't talking the way I just talked, not even close, right? They're like, let's get you. They just can't wait to get them to 200 grand. You're going to say, if you won't accept my education, I'm not getting you the 200 grand. You go to the competition. I refuse, right? Because I've seen it before. I've been doing this for a long time. Remember, I'm the guy who cares. They don't. They just want to get your 200 grand, and then they move on to their next, you know, they eat what they kill.
My analogy,
I don't do
you're
that.
the tallest guy, I think, and my analogy is the lottery winner. If you got somebody that you know, they make 100 grand a year, then all of a sudden they win the lottery of, you know, however many tens to hundreds of millions. 5 years later, they're broke. Why?
Yeah.
Because they didn't know how to handle it. So, you know, to your point, if you get a company a couple hundred grand in money.
100%. Guys, everybody steal that. Like, that is so, you're exactly right. I think that came off, you know what I mean? I wasn't sure where you were going there. That was perfect. That's instead of using my story, use your story, use that in your sales process right there. Because that's exactly what happens. You get this guy 200 grand. It becomes a little bit too easy. It magically disappears, right? It's the guy who sells a house, okay, and then goes, you know what? I'm going to sit on the money and I'm not going to re-enter until, you know, there's another slide. Do you know what happens? He sells his house for 500 grand. He had a $200,000 mortgage. He's now got $300,000 that he's not used to having in his bank account. His wife ends up with shoes. He ends up with a new car, and they don't end up with a house, and the money goes. And like ridiculous predictability. So they're another way of saying what you just said. That is it. They're not used to the money, so therefore it waves goodbye. Just give it wings. So anyways, I hope you got that, but I also hope everybody was listening, because that's like a joint venture opportunity, right? So you just go to the guy who's doing the loans. You say this, plug them into my e-learning system, and I'll give everybody, again, a 45 to 2-hour meeting where I'll find them 100 grand in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. Use my proprietary software that's got 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences. I'm just reading off my screen, guys. You're wondering where the heck's all this coming from. 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences that will populate a roadmap. And then that roadmap will give you the perfect step-by-step guide to how to build this thing from 600 grand to 6 million, which is not the easiest thing in the world. But when you follow the right roadmap, it becomes matter of fact. So let's go. And they go, you'll do what? Are you crazy? Boom.
In creating that headline, I guess you would say, hey, Divergent Business Solutions is the funding company because, or however because e-learning can be construed all kinds of ways, a 52-week e-learning, whatever. How would you phrase the e-learning component of that as included, just so that it resonates with their mind?
Yeah. Here's what I would do. I said it earlier, so I'm not going to, here's my question for you, Scott, right? Because we got to go, don't go features, right? Don't go advantages. You got to go benefit. Tell me, if you send Dave, the chiropractor, Dave, the dude that needs the trucks or the machines that we keep talking about, and I'm not being funny, like I want you to tell me, what are the benefits that he will get if he actually goes through the 52 weeks, if he actually has a pen and paper every time he watches the video, and he's the guy who implements? What are the benefits for him?
Oh, infinitesimal.
Yep. Give me a couple. That was a good word, by the way. I couldn't spell it, so use that word.
Yeah.
But anyways, keep going. Doing well so far.
Ultimately, funding for your business whenever you want on your terms. I mean, that's certainly part of it.
This is it.
The other part of it is, leads and sales on demand.
This is it.
If
What
you
else?
implement the strategic marketing stuff. For lack of a better word, you're a University of Hard Knocks MBA graduate. I mean,
okay. You see what I'm doing?
A little too
Scott,
cliche, but
yeah. You got you got 5 stars. Like, this is it. So and for everybody listening, this isn't just Scott and I. This is for the benefit of everybody. Like, that's what you do. You tell me, guys. Like what I said. This is the equivalent, step-by-step, 52-week, 12-month. Every lesson coalesces into the next, right? Like as in the next one, like you got to watch one and before you watch two, and then you watch two, and then you watch three, and they all make sense, right? They all feed into one another. And I said, look, it's like the equivalent of a 3-year marketing degree at Stanford. And I truly believe that. And what would you spend on a 3-year marketing degree at Stanford? I don't know how much it is, but it's more than 50 and probably about $100,000. So how about I throw that in for free for you? Like that's the ultimate benefit. You're going to understand marketing better than a Stanford marketing graduate, right? Like that kind of stuff. So anyways, you just go to Benefit and you said, how would you like to have leads on command? How would you like, instead of having $1 million business, how would you like to have a $500,000, or rather than having $1 million business that makes 80 grand, how would you like to have a $500,000 business where you have $250,000 of profit? Believe me, the two businesses have very different roadmaps. Do you want to know what that roadmap is? My 52-week curriculum will walk you through, and you'll know exactly why businesses succeed and exactly why businesses fail. Right. So bottom line, Scott and everybody listening, you just go benefit, 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 benefit. That's why they've got to get it. And that's why they need to get together with you to do the 45-minute turnaround, where you're going to get them 100 grand in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. You need to sell that session like a madman so that they show up and they book their calendar, because that's where you're gonna get your appointment. Like that's what Nabil did. You heard him earlier. He got a $60,000 client, right? Like we talked about it last week. He shows up today and he says, "High five, man! I got the client. Not only did I get him, I got him at 60 grand the way you showed me, instead of less than that, which is the roadmap that I was about to follow before our 10-minute chat."
Yep. Agreed.
There you go. So Scott, crush it. But again, to be clear, and for everybody, instead of, you were going to put the consulting on the back end, and I'm telling you, please listen to me, put it on the front end. That's what's going to separate you when you talk to these people and you go, the difference between me and them is that I care. I want you to get 200 grand today, but come back for 500 grand later. Or even better yet, you're going to be able to vendor finance this thing, which basically means the 500,000 you're going to need in 3 years. You're not going to need to call me. You're not going to need to call the bank. You're just going to go to your bank account and decide where you're going to allocate the money. And they're like, like, you know what I mean? So put it on the front end. That's the X factor here. But don't cost yourself high-end consulting. The way that I gave it to you, you get the front end difference, like where you really care and you separate yourself. But automatically on the back end, you're going to include the profit jumpstart. So you're going to close your $2,000 clients, $2,000 per month, automatically. So there we go. Yep. Scott, I'm glad we opened you, buddy.
All day long.
Like it?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Cool. All right, man. We're going to put you back on. Say again?
I said an even better idea than I had.
There we go. Damn, you never know, around here. Okay, cool. Now, appreciate you, Scott. So keep us, do this, man. Keep us posted. Show up, again, every Tuesday, Thursday, right? We do these calls. So we want an update as you're moving along, man. Sound good?
You got it. Appreciate it.
You beauty. All right, folks. That went a little longer than planned, but hopefully that was helpful. All right, folks. That's it for me. In the absence of my boy Kenya Pat, but he'll be back with us next week. Appreciate you guys. Have a great Friday, depending upon where you are. It might be Friday already for some of you, like Nabil. But we'll see you next week, and enjoy your weekend. And for those in the U.S., enjoy your long weekend. Very fun, folks. So God bless you all, and we'll speak to you next week.